Good evening. And welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. We'll go right into the book. You have surely begun to realize that this is a very practical course, which means exactly what it says. Indeed, most of the problems you have when reading the course is that you try to interpret what it's meaning. What is it saying when it's saying very specifically what it means? You all have the tendency to approach everything in your day on the basis of your past experience. You explore new territory within the context of your past experience. You listen for the truth in the context of your problem. When what's needed is, in the latter case, to be more interested in what the truth is that you need to know than you are in getting the answer to the problem which is fixed in your mind. You have a problem. You're suffering. And you want not to suffer. And so you must turn within and you must ask, what is the truth that I need to know? To heck with my problem at the moment. What's the truth? What's the truth about me? What's the truth about what God is being right here, right now, that I need to be aware of? You see, you want to have the vision, the experience of what God is being right here, right now, in place of, not in the context of, but in place of the distress you're experiencing, the problem you're having. You need to untie yourself from the misperception that you're suffering from. You're not here to get a better understanding of the misperception you're having. Many people say, wow, Raj doesn't say what I've read in the Course, and therefore discount what I'm saying. Instead of saying, why might he be saying this? What might he be saying that is consistent with the Course that I don't see as being consistent with the Course because I've been reading the Course on the basis of my prior experience, my prior frame of reference, my expectations. You need to disentangle yourselves from your old mindsets, which at the bottom line are responsible for your distresses. You have surely begun to realize that this is a very practical course, which means exactly what it says. Now, a very practical course. The tendency is to read it as though it's otherworldly, as though it's talking about things unrelated to your present experience. But I promise you everything in here is relevant. Why is it relevant? Because your present experience is a limited experience of the kingdom of heaven. And so if the Course is addressing the kingdom of heaven, it's addressing the kingdom of heaven right here, right now, that you're right in the middle of. It's not necessarily relevant to the way you're looking at the kingdom of heaven right now. But right here and right now is what the Course is about, and you are what the Course is about, and you are the Christ that the Course talks about. The Christ entertaining a far more limited belief about what you are than what you are in your fullness at this very instant. So again, you have surely begun to realize that this is a very practical course, which means exactly what it says. So does the Bible, if it is properly understood. There has been a marked tendency on the part of many of the Bible's followers, and also its translators, to be entirely literal about fear and its effects, but not about love and its results. Thus, hellfire means burning, but raising the dead becomes allegorical. Actually, it is particularly the references to the outcomes of love which should be taken literally, because the Bible is about love, being about God. The Bible enjoins you to be perfect. And what does it actually say? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. Be ye what you already are, because God already is the author of you. The Bible enjoins you to be perfect, to heal all errors, to take no thought of the body as separate, and to accomplish all things in my name. This is not my name alone, for ours, yours and mine, is a shared identification. Why is it a shared identification? Because we all have the same Father. Our being is derived from the Father. The name of God's Son is one, and you are enjoined to do the works of love because we share this oneness. Our minds are whole because they are one. In other words, not fragmented into many little parts. Now listen, if you are sick, you are withdrawing from me. And I would likewise say, if you are sick, you are withdrawing from your brothers and sisters. There's an excellent book entitled Illness or Allness. They are the two ends of the spectrum of one thing. Even the sound, ill, is a tightened form of the openness of all. Illness or allness. Illness is a tightening up, a making smaller, a withdrawing, a making of oneself isolated from everything else. And when one does this, one is inevitably uncomfortable because it is as though you are trying to constrict something that is infinite, yourself. If you are sick, you are withdrawing from me. Yet you cannot withdraw from me alone. You can only withdraw from yourself and me. When you say, Father, I'd rather see it my way, and you're withdrawing from the Father, and you lose the experience of your true identity, you have withdrawn from who you truly are. If you withdraw from me, you are withdrawing from what you truly are, because we are the same, the sons and daughters of the Father that we all have in common, who is the very presence of each one of us, always. And there is no other presence where we are than the presence of the Father. Embodied, expressed, experienceable. I would not ask you to do the things you cannot do, and it is impossible that I could do things you cannot do. So, you know what? Instead of looking at me as though I am something grand and far beyond you, instead of seeing me that way and making yourself feel small, you should look at me and see in me the potential in you. Not just the potential, but the actuality of you at this moment. You should see in me how much more you are than you've been allowing yourself to believe that you are. It should be an inspiration rather than something that demeans you. It should cause you to let yourself be like me, because we are the same. Rather than letting it make you feel small, inconsequential, and worthless, and eventually hopeless. I would not ask you to do the things you cannot do, and it is impossible that I could do things you cannot do. Given this, and given this quite literally, you hear that? Quite literally, there can be nothing which prevents you from doing exactly what I ask, and everything which argues for your doing it. I give you no limits, because God lays none upon you. Well, what has God laid upon you? Infinite capacity. Undisturbable singularity of mind, that it cannot be fragmented. That's what God has laid upon you. When you limit yourself, we are not of one mind, and that is sickness. Yet, sickness is not of the body, but of the mind. It's all in the way you're looking at things. It's all in what you are choosing to believe. All forms of dysfunction are merely signs that the mind has split and does not accept a unified purpose. If you realized that when you become defensive, you are completely blocking your avenue of escape from the need for defense, you would abandon defense no matter what was confronting you. The act of defense isolates you more than you were before you brought it actively into play. It reinforces the sense of a split mind. It reinforces the experience of vulnerability that comes from fragmentation. It does exactly the opposite of what you want and need, which is coherence, singularity, undisturbable oneness that constitutes peace. What you want is the singularity that demonstrates to you where, in your mind, that you are invincible, because it is impossible for there to be anything separate or different from you against which you need to be prepared to defend yourself. The unification of purpose, then, is the Holy Spirit's only way of healing. This is because it is the only level at which healing means anything. The re-establishing of meaning in a chaotic thought system is the only way to heal it. And that's what I meant in my first remarks. If you're having a problem and you ask God to give you an understanding of the problem so you can understand how to control yourself and your circumstances better to make the problem go away, you're not asking for the truth. You're asking for better control. You're not asking for the answer which would render the problem, I'm going to say, unintelligible, meaningless to you, leaving nothing there to deal with or handle. You cannot bring order to chaos by bringing God into the chaos in a form that would allow you to organize the fragmented pieces of chaos into a better format. You've got to arrive at a point where you are not valuing the problem more than you are valuing the experience of truth in which you will inevitably find the problem dissolving because it wasn't real. It was nothing more than a series of fragmented thoughts jumbled together, and then an attempt has been made to make sense of it. The reestablishing of meaning in a chaotic thought system is the only way to heal it. The reestablishing of meaning. Meaning is always singular. The reestablishing of what is true in a chaotic thought system is the only way to heal it. We have said that your task is only to meet the conditions for meaning. Since meaning itself is of God, meaning itself is not of the problem. Meaning exists entirely separate and apart from the problem. Entirely separate and apart from confusion in your mind. Entirely separate and apart from the appearance of chaos itself. Meaning is found always in peace, the experience of peace. Which is the experience of singularity and is available to you constantly if you will choose for it rather than the rehearsal of the problem in your mind. We have said that your task is only to meet the conditions for meaning, since meaning itself is of God. Yet, your return to meaning is essential to His, because your meaning is part of His. Your healing, then, is part of His health, since it is part of His wholeness. We're speaking of God here. Your healing, then, is part of His health, since it is part of His wholeness. He cannot lose this, but you cannot know it. Yet it is still His will for you, and His will must stand forever and in all things. You cannot know it, meaning you cannot know it alone. You cannot know it standing all by yourself. You cannot know it when you don't know who you are. Truly. Your function is to embody love. Embody love, the acknowledgement of what is real in each and everything, a capacity you have because you are able to abandon the definitions you've given everything and ask of God what the meaning of everything is, so that the influx of inspiration and true vision about a thing is there for you to give to that thing by means of your body. And you're engaging in this activity, which is your function, will constitute healing, not just of perception, but of what you would call your body. Again, I reassure you that there is no such thing as healing that isn't evidenced. If you do not have the manifestation of perfection, correction is called for and healing is called for, and that healing will be recognizable, experienceable, recordable by a camera, able to be seen by everyone. It won't be bliss in the midst of disease or a body that isn't perfect. The next section is entitled The Acceptance of Reality. Well, by now hasn't it become clear that if you are suffering, you're in a state of non-acceptance of reality? If you're looking around and saying it's nothing but a material world, it's like saying there's no Santa Claus at Christmas time. And the spirit of the event is lost. When you're looking around and saying, it's just a material world, you are standing in the non-acceptance of the kingdom of heaven, which is what's really there, and which you're having a false interpretation of, and which interpretation you are choosing to believe is valid. So, if right here and right now, you are not seeing God in everything, and you are not recognizing the kingdom of heaven, then you are not in a place where you are in acceptance of reality yet. Please remember the obvious. The only thing there is to confront you is reality. There is nothing else going on. And you're seeing it either clearly or unclearly. Fear of the will of God is one of the strangest beliefs that the human mind has ever made. This could not possibly have occurred unless the mind were already profoundly split, making it possible for the mind to be afraid of what it really is. Every single one of you truly does believe that if you yielded completely to God, you would lose valuable things. Maybe never to sow again. Maybe never to cuddle with your cat. Maybe never to be able to touch and smell and be fully aware of your partner. Oh, because all of a sudden you're going to turn into something utterly spiritual and intangible and incapable of having a tactile experience or a conscious experience of substance. So, you'll hold off a little while. You'll justify pushing the snooze button on the alarm because these things are too valuable to you. You are afraid to let your good in. You simply are. What is it? Nobody likes a good guy. You have all kinds of thoughts and sayings that keep you in your place, that keep you ignorant. If you were going to let truth in, truth with a capital T, you'd have to, you think, recognize you would have to recognize all your flaws, wouldn't you? The truth would uncover all of the error in you. What a bummer. Why would you want to wake up? Why would you want to know the truth? You see how the ego perspective works? You know what the light of truth does? It illuminates the truth in you and leaves you filled with the conscious experience of everything that is valuable in you, which God laid upon you by virtue of extending Himself right where you are.